trainer with a sense of pride, as she is the woman of substance, a lady with poise and passion, and a trainer so confident and committed. Dr. Pooja Jaggi, the master trainer for the session on pursuit of well-being. A very warm welcome to Dr. Pooja and a very warm welcome to all the participants here. We are looking forward to your session, Dr. Pooja. Over to you, please. Dr. Pooja.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you, each one of you. Your presence here means a lot. And not only am I going to give some beautiful concepts to you, but your presence and your knowledge is going to enrich me too. And I believe in very much a two-way communication. So friends, topic of today has been a topic of interest from times immemorial to philosophers, knowledgeable people, spiritual leaders, political leaders, etc. The topic is well-being. And friends, its relevance has increased manifold in the present COVID pandemic times. And let me tell you that today's deliberation, today's discussion doesn't have any tall claims for academic excellence or loading you with theoretical concepts, or for that matter, telling you something which you do not already know. But on the other hand, it comes from authentic experience and will only be absorbed through experiential learning on your part. And it will mean only to act and practice. Just learning it in theory is meaningless, because we know so many things, but we do not practice. That's the problem which we face. So this presentation is an inspiration for you to pursue well-being in a genuine way. Another clarification, that here the meaning of well-being largely is related to mental well-being. We'll not be talking about physical well-being in this presentation, though it's equally important. We will have some other day, some other deliberation. So, what do you want to be in life? Or how do you want your life to be? How do you want your life to be? Anyone can unmute and answer my question. How do you want your life to be? Do you want it full of anger, fear, sadness, or joy? Yes. Can anyone respond, please?
A life of joy, please.
Definitely joy, without any doubt.
Joy. Yeah.
Absolutely. No one will consciously in their right mind choose any of the other emotions. Joy is what you want your life to be, right? So everyone is in pursuit of happiness. Everyone is in pursuit of the basic joy in life. Now, I'm going to narrate a story to you. A story which you may have heard, may not have heard, but please listen to this story from the point of view of connecting it to the concept of today. So, you see someone on the screen just now. Can you recognize who this person is? Anybody? Any guesses? You can make any wild guesses, no problem.
It's Alexander the Great.
Absolutely correct. Ram Gopal sir, I have a clue slide, but you didn't need that. Very good. Bang on, you're right. Alexander the Great. But do you know, Mr. Ram Gopal and all the others, that you have taken an incomplete name? You know what his actual name was? Alexander the Great Stupid.
Alexander the Great.
It wasn't Alexander the Great, but it was Alexander the Great Stupid. Now, why do I say that? You know, from the age of 16 years to the age of 32 or 33 years, and I think he had a very short life. This man butchered and killed people without any reason. I don't know, countless number of people he killed without any reason. And do you think that he was powerful? Not at all. He was the most full of fear person, because I'll show you some very stunning facts about him. He used to kill his own men from time to time by accusing them falsely of some charges. And do you think and do you know why he used to do that? Why would he kill his own men? Only to make the others fall in place, only to have that control over the other people, his own men. That's the kind of thing he had, and that's why his full name is Alexander the Stupid. That's why he's called so. You all must be also knowing that India and the Greece, they had a lot of ancient Greece had a lot of ties. There was a lot of multidisciplinary exchange between India and Greece in terms of mathematics and spirituality. And Alexander had heard that India is a land of saints. So there are many yogis and gurus who are immortal or who have many other qualities about them which are worth pursuing. Very ironically, you know, I burst out into laughter when I heard this for the first time, that Alexander the Great, who was murdering people left, right, and center and back and wherever, himself wanted to be immortal. So in that quest, he came to India. He crossed the Hindu Kush mountains and he sent his scouts in search of yogis, spiritual yogis, so that the scouts can bring the yogis to him and he can become immortal. So the team of scouts went, and ultimately they actually came across a yogi. You can see on the left side of your screen. It was an amazing sight. This yogi was sitting on the base of the mountain for, I don't know, donkey number of years, with a loin cloth, simple loin cloth, and he was in a deep trance, meditative pose, completely blissed out. He had no, awareness of things around him. And the soldier or the scout, he told him, "Come with us." He suddenly woke up from the trance and he looked up to the soldier and he says, "Why would I go with you? I will not go with you anywhere." And the soldier took out the swords. Not only one soldier, but quite a few of them, they took out the swords. And once they took out the swords, they thought that this yogi will get scared. This yogi will, come with them immediately. But they were shocked. You know what the yogi replied? He said, "Why should I go with you? I have lived my life. I have done what had to be done. You want to cut my head, take it away, I don't mind. But will you get anything? Will you get anything by cutting my head? You will get no knowledge, no spirituality, no wisdom. Go, please do it. Go ahead and do it." The soldiers were shocked and they came back to Alexander the Great, or the Great Stupid, whatever way you may take it. So he said, "Okay, he's not coming to me, then I think I should go to him." So Alexander then went to the yogi. And he said, "Tell me, what is the secret to immortality? I want to be immortal." The yogi replied, "You stupid man. First come down from your high horse, come down." So then Alexander was shaken, and obviously he wanted to be immortal. So he came down. And when he came down, Yogi said, this animal you are sitting on is below your intelligence. He's below in intelligence as compared to your intelligence. He doesn't want you to sit on him, and you're sitting on him. What does it show you? What kind of a light does it show you in? So Alexander was, shaken. Then he said, okay, I'll tell you the secret to immortality. So he gave him certain landmarks. He explained that he's supposed to follow these landmarks, and he will reach a cave, and in that cave there will be a clear pool of water, and in that clear pool of water he's supposed to take the water, drink it up, and he will be immortal. Wonderful. Alexander the Great was very happy. He was back on his horse, and with his soldiers he set out to the journey. Now, what happened next? So, yes, he was there, very much there, and he saw that there was a cave. But before that, let me tell you that he had a thought. Once he was approaching the cave, he thought that the soldiers who are with me, these 4 or 5 soldiers, if I take them to the cave, they will also drink the water and they will also become immortal. I don't want them to become immortal. So, this is the kind of person he was, so insecure. So he left them behind. So then alone he entered the cave, the scene I'm showing. And he picked up the water like this. He was about to drink it when an old haggard crow interrupted him. He was old and haggard, and he said, wait. And Alexander was taken aback. And as a result, the water fell out. He did not drink the water. He said, why have you stopped me? What happened? He said, son, I don't know for how many years I have been alive now because I drank that water. Maybe million years, I don't know. And it is the worst kind of punishment a person can have. Please don't drink this water. Physical immortality is not worth pursuing. So, I don't know how some sense came into him. And he actually followed the crow's advice and he turned back. That is why perhaps we now call him Alexander the Great and not the Great Stupid. And imagine if he had drunk the water, we would be, actually still tolerating him in this world. So this is the end of the story. So now, how much time do I have? 8:25. So let's say 25 minutes. So I'll give myself 20 minutes. So out of those 20 minutes, okay, 10 for that and then, yeah. So now I want you people, you can be sharing with each other, and I want the presenter, please.
Yes, Dr. Pooja, we have tried to put down a few points, and would anybody like to present?
No, you can go ahead. You can
Okay.
go ahead.
Go ahead, all points are with you.
Okay, and please go on adding wherever that you feel like. So the first point that the group has come with is that the physical existence does not mean much unless it is supported by one's good actions and deeds.
Wonderful.
And then second is sound mind is also a prerequisite for good health. So that means mental well-being also leads to the positivity and health in totality. This is what they wanted to say. Then Alexander also had mistrust and insecurity. That must, if anybody has those negative, any kind of negative emotions, then the person should try to overcome these negative emotions also from oneself. And means suppose you get an opportunity and all your material needs are fulfilled, then also it is not necessary that you will be happy. And living means, as was the case with the saint, you may be living in a cave, you may be all by yourself, but when you are one with the divine, then you are in a state of bliss.
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
the psychic, certain psychic individuals, just as Hitler, they are only focused on their own individual happiness, their own individual well-being. So such people become very egoist, and they become very possessive. They start having an illusion that they are the givers for other people. But if they have an opportunity to meet a saint, like we have seen in the picture, then it sets them thinking as to where it means they have really, like wasted their life altogether all this while. And as our group would like to end with a quote, that happiness is not a goal, it is a byproduct of a life which is well lived.
Excellent. I think a big round of applause for each one of you, please.
Yes, for the group.
In fact, you have given much more wisdom than I have on my subsequent slides. But yes, as I told you, these are the things which you already know. The only thing is, the problem is that we do not practice them. And we need such facilitation, training, or we have to keep reminding ourselves to, practice these principles in real life. Even if we do it 20%, 30%, it'll make a huge difference in our overall quality of life. I hope you all agree with me on that.
Yes.
You enjoyed the exercise?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful one. Pujaji, beautiful one.
Thank you. May I request all of you to now switch off the audios and videos so that there's no interruption in the signal?
Ma'am, can I?
Sorry, I forgot to invite you.
Sorry,
Sanjeev sir.
Sorry, Sanjeev, sorry.
Please.
Sanjeev.
He has a poetry to share.
Oh, lovely, beautiful.
Please.
There's a poetry I read in, I think in class 4th or 5th. So I was just, when you were telling the incident, I was recalling that poetry.
Okay.
So I have written it because entire poetry is recorded now. Should I tell you? बहुत दिनों की बात सिकंदर विश्व विजेता हुआ महान, मुझसे बड़ा नहीं है कोई, मन में उसके था अभिमान। चलते चलते उसने देखा तन से नंगा एक फकीर, घोर तपस्या करके जिसका दुबला पतला हुआ शरीर, पड़ा अकेला सेक रहा था सूरज की किरणों का ताप, सदा रहा था शांत मनोहर, वहां न था कोई संताप। कहा सिकंदर ने कुछ मांगो, मैं राजा हूँ एक महान, धन दौलत सब कुछ दे सकता, कर सकता सबका कल्याण। सुन घमंड की बातें उसकी, मुस्काया वो शांत फकीर, बोला जरा हटो आगे से, मुझको क्या तुम हुए अमीर। मत रोको सूरज की किरणें, उस प्रभु का ये सुंदर दान, उस प्रभु से मैं सभी मांगता, करता सबका जो कल्याण।
Excellent.
And that way he shattered his ego.
Excellent.
To that.
I think it's a similar story only.
Yes.
Yes, it's the same.
It was in form of poetry in our curriculum, I think in class 4th or 5th.
Wonderful. So these are very basics. This is very basic stuff, which we forget in the, hustle bustle of life and the competition and all these things. Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Thank you, Dr. Ira. Thank you, each one of you, for this wonderful participation in this exercise. Thank you so much.
But ma'am, I want to say one thing, that this poetry I did not understand that time.
Yes.
Today I came to understand it.
Now you can.
Yes.
They are very deep things. They are very simple, but they are very deep also.
Because that in those times we were told Alexander was the great, and today
Yes.
I was told that Alexander was the great stupid.
Okay, excuse me, Puja madam, I want to say.
Yes.
I say before Alexander Great, before his death, what he was asking, he was saying, keep my hands after my death, keep my hands open
Yes.
in the coffin, so that I am not carrying whatever the gold, whatever the asset, property, whatever I earned in this world.
Okay.
These were these words.
Yes. Very profound, very deep.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So such stories, they are not even stories, this is real life. They can
Yes.
really give us divine knowledge, I should say. So can I proceed further now? Just to conclude now, a few points I want to share. There are many, many points. There are so many things. But you know, I'm saying that even if you pick 2-3 of them, it'll make a huge, huge difference. Can you name this, can you give a title to this picture? Anybody can volunteer?
Freedom.
Freedom, wonderful. Anybody else? Anyone else? Prakash, would you like to?
Connected to nature.
Yes. Very nice.
It's just explaining what a lovely day.
Yeah. So you all are right, your interpretations are right. It's the same picture, there are different interpretations. But here I want to share an interpretation which will be, I think, an eye-opener. Though you know it already, but you don't realize it. I have not added the title. Actually, the title I wanted to say here, I forgot to add. Bliss is the natural state of existence. I think you please write this down with you, keep it with you. Why am I stressing this? Because in today's times, we have developed this notion that being in stress, being anxious, being depressed, being always competitive, being always tense, being always under the pressure to perform, these are all normal and fine. But they are not. The natural state of existence for human beings is bliss. Another revelation, another thing I want to tell you is that, just give me a minute, huh? Just give me a minute. Sorry, there was some disturbance, so I wanted to. So, our natural state, we forget that the natural state of existence is that. When the baby is born and after that, though it's the first thing he cries, of course, all the emotions we are supposed to experience. But when they are 2 to 3 years of age, actually 1 till 2 years of age, remember the child, what kind of child he is. The natural first response is smile and laughter. But we forget this. We forget this and we adopt all these things, we let all these things come into our lives due to this blind competition for material things. I'm not saying pursuing material things is bad, but pursuing material things at the cost of your well-being is definitely not required, but which we forget. So that's one objective or one thing which you should take out from this. Second thing, now here I want to connect back to Alexander's story. This is a human brain. Here, by this representation, I want to say that thoughts are primary. Thoughts are of primary importance. Why Alexander did what he did, why Alexander acted the way in which he did, killed so many people, it was born as ideas in his mind. So, thoughts, intellect is the key. And we very often forget the quality of our thoughts. What we are thinking, and what we are thinking is impacting our way we are feeling, our emotions. There's a deep connect between thought, emotions, and actions. And what we are feeling and thinking is impacting what we are doing in life. That's why intellect is the key. Thoughts are self-created. Another very revealing point here. We are the master of our thoughts, or at least we should be the master of our thoughts. and they can make or break bliss. This is the second most important takeaway, learning which you can have from here. It's the same situation. Let's say two people have failed in an exam. Now, one person will say that I'm worthless, I don't have an adequate IQ, I don't have adequate intelligence to clear the exams, and I'm doomed, my fate is doomed. On the other hand, the other person says, okay, there were many problems in my life going on, there were many external situations which led to this failure, but I'm capable, I will try again. What is the difference between the two people? Situation is the same, they are both human beings, but the difference lies in the way you perceive the situation. And the way you perceive the situation determines the way you think about it. So that's why intellect is the key. And that's why that determines how you feel from inside. Next, intellect is not only the key, but intellect is very sharp. It's like a sharp, well-polished dagger. It can work for you and it can work against you. If your intellect, if your mind, if your thoughts are working against you, it'll cut you from inside. It'll give you a lot of pain. Here, though a little out of context, but I want to quote an Urdu couplet. The person whose intellect, and especially persons who have a very superior intellect, very sharp intellect, they're very intelligent, IQs above 150. Let's say their intellect is working against them. Will they be happy? No. Will they be in a state of well-being? No. And this couplet very beautifully describes what they are feeling from inside. Zindagi se badi saza hi nahi. I'll translate for those who do not understand Hindi. Later. Zindagi se badi saza hi nahi. जुर्म क्या है पता ही नहीं. कितने हिस्सों में बट गया हूं मैं, कितने हिस्सों में बट गया हूं मैं, मेरे हिस्से में कुछ बचा ही नहीं. This is the kind of situation, experience they have. There is no worse punishment than life, and I do not know what my crime is. I have been segregated and cut into so many pieces that I do not know what is there for me in this life. Full of depression, sadness, full of pain. So that's what your thoughts can do to you, friends. Second, what does this picture represent? Look at it carefully, though it's not very clear, but it is representing and you can make out what it is. There's a lot of clutter, a lot of things stored in a small place. Now, this has a capacity. This has a capacity. If you keep filling it up, what will happen? It will create a lot of discomfort and pain again. So please do not clutter your mind. Keep it clean like you keep your houses clean. See? Already things are falling. Hoarding is a disease. Don't hoard. And here I don't only mean physical hoarding. Physical hoarding, of course, is an actual disease. But here I mean mental hoarding. Now, when you collect negative emotions or imaginations, material possessions, arrogance or ego. Now remember Alexander's story again. Negative emotions or imaginations. Imaginations, why? Because you imagine about the future. Human mind is the only entity in this world which can imagine future. And imagine if you imagine it negatively. जो हुआ ही नहीं, उसको आप imagine करिए, और वो भी negatively कर रहे हैं. And you can be in pain due to what happened 25 or 30 or 40 or 5 years back in your life. You're capable of feeling that pain again and again because you're holding everything here, you're not clearing it up. So I'm saying negative emotions, imaginations, material possessions, arrogance and ego. If you boost it too much, little bit is fine. Little bit of pride, little bit of ego is okay. But if you boost it too much, it's going to create problems. More is not merrier, rather it is miserable. Okay? This is a picture which represents a short story, a very short story, I'll say. Baba Nanak and Mardana. You know, Baba Nanak was the founder of Sikh religion. He was a holy saint. And Mardana was his follower. One fine, beautiful morning by the river, they were going from one place to another. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was walking with a lot of strength and a lot of vigor and a lot of positivity. And Mardana, poor thing, could not keep pace with him. He was very slow. And he's not even in the picture. They are the other followers. He's somewhere behind. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji got a little, not exactly upset. Saints don't get upset, but he was a little disturbed. So he said, Mardane, what? Why are you walking so slowly? He said, Baba Ji, sonne da thal hai. Now I'll translate it for you in Punjab. I said it in Punjabi. He said, Baba Ji, sonne da thal hai mere kol. So he says, I have a gold plate, a plate made of gold in my hand, and I'm scared that somebody will steal it away, or somebody will take it away from me, or I'll get it lost. I'll lose it, I mean. So, you know what Guru Nanak replied? Any guesses? Anyone wants to guess? Participants, you want to guess?
What you have bought, you will lose.
Actually, you are a little close to it only. He said, Sutde. Sutde means throw it away. Whatever is hampering your energy, your vigor, your positivity, and your progress towards your ultimate goals, throw it away. Even if it's precious, even if it can fetch you a lot of money, throw it away. It's not worth it. See, I'm so relaxed. I don't have anything with me. But I can walk that walk of, a fakir, completely blissed out, with no tension. So that's what Mardana did. He threw that away, and then, you know what happened? I'm sure you all can predict. Mardana agge te Guru Nanak Dev Ji piche piche. I'm saying it in Punjabi, but what it means in English is that Mardana was much ahead of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji was behind him. This is what clearing away your mind, cleaning it can do. Okay, so this is a beautiful illustration of the mind cleaning. You just watch it.
Jab ma'am Ram Gopal.
Anger, everything is going through the eyes. Saaf safai. And last, I think, but not the least, I think it's the last. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is, I can never overemphasize. Never ever overemphasize the value of gratitude. Practice gratitude. There are many ways to do it. And the more you do it, the happier you become. The things you have won't make you happy. But if you are grateful for what you have, definitely it'll make a difference. So there are a few things, but I want to wind up because there's a lot of time already gone by. 3 funny things: grateful chat, mental subtraction, find your silver lining, and gratitude visit. They are beautiful exercises. You can practice 1 or 2 or all of them. They're wonderful to do, and they really make a difference. And yes, this I have described in my last presentation also. Adversity is opportunity in disguise. Because a diamond will only shine when it is polished. And polish will give some pain. But you can only shine when you're polished. Right? So just a quick recapitulation. You can just see it. I won't read it again and again. And what is the key takeaway? Key takeaway is in this picture. Can you quickly guess? Just last 2-3 minutes I'll take and I'll wind up. Can you quickly guess what is the key takeaway of this entire presentation? The clue lies in the picture in front of you. You can see a king, and then there are a few things moving around him. Anybody? No?
Is it living for present, at present?
Yeah, it is related, but not exactly.
Whatever
Okay.
the external,
Yes.
whatever the external forces are, I mean, unless you react to it, I mean, we can have peace
Wonderful
of
interpretation.
mind.
Wonderful.
Happiness on his face.
Yeah.
Happiness on his face.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. None of your interpretations are wrong, but here what I wanted to say, but what you've said is also not wrong, not at all. I am the master of my own thoughts, and my mind will obey only me. If you're able to achieve this most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if you're able to achieve it, you are done. You can face 99.9% situations in life. I am the master of my own thoughts. My mind will obey me. And you're absolutely right when you say that whatever is happening in the external circumstances, until and unless I chose to react negatively, they will affect me. And I won't give the control of my destiny, my happiness to other people or circumstances. So that's the key takeaway of this entire thing. So don't worry and be happy. Benefits and action plans, I'll quickly go through. I'm not going to take too much time. There's a lot of, benefits, personal benefits, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, social, environmental, occupational, and physical. This is just a sample of the action calendar because you have to act. It's not only meant for a PPT. So you can make this kind of an optimistic October or an optimistic November. And this is available on the internet. And do good thing every day. Slowly add to your well-being. That's all, friends. Thank you so much. Thank you.